One of the statistical questions that you may be asked on your examination is the relation of mean, median, and mode to each other in symmetric or Gaussian distribution, in positively skewed distribution, or in negatively skewed distribution. Now, in order to understand this topic, what I'm going to do is that first I will provide you some examples, show you how to calculate mean, median, and mode, and then come back here and discuss how these values change relative to each other in different type of curves shown there. So first, starting with these numbers here. So if I want to plot these against a graph, it won't really show a smooth graph like this because these are probably using like 1,000 numbers to achieve such a smooth number. But here, let's assume that we had a higher numbers and I was to get a smooth curve here. Now, since I have 2 of number 2, there would have been a peak in this part of the curve, which corresponds to number 2. And then after that, I only have one number 5, one number 7, and one number 14. So then there would have been a drop to correspond to number 5, number 7, and number 14. So I only have one of these numbers, but 2 of the number 2. Now the question is, what is the mean, median, and mode for this distribution, which is a positively skewed distribution? So the mean value is the sum of all these values divided by the total number of values that we have. So 4 plus 5 is 9, plus 7 is 16, plus 14 is 30, divided by total numbers that we have is 5, equals 6. So the mean value that here we have for these numbers is 6. The mode, on the other hand, is the number that repeats the most. So here the number that repeated the most is the number 2. So our mode is number 2. And then our median is the number that is located right in between. So here, the number that is in between, so I have 5 numbers, so the third number is right in between, is the number 5. And so now you can see here that the mean is the largest number. So first we have the mean, then after that it's the median that is the largest number, and then after that it's the mode, which is the smallest number here. So now that corresponds to what we have here. Now the reason we get this type of distribution is that we have some outliers like number 14, which is way too high. And so number 14, because it's way too high, it will make the mean to rise. And so that's why that in positively skewed distribution, the mean is the largest value. On the other hand, in negatively skewed values, since there are some outliers in the lowest part of the graph, therefore that's why the mean is the smallest value. So now let me show you an example of a negatively skewed graph. Alright, so for this graph, if we wanted to plot it against the graph again, we have number 2, we have number 5, we have number 7, and then we have 3 of number 14. So here would be number 14, then we have number 2, 5, 7. And so if I ask you what's the mean for these values, it's the sum of all these values. So 14 plus 14 plus 14 plus 7 plus 5 plus 2 is equal 56, divided by 6 is equal 9.3. And on the exam, actually, you do have an icon of calculator. So if you have problem like adding these numbers up and dividing, you can use the icon calculator to calculate these numbers. So here our mean is 9.3. Our mode, which is the number that is repeated the most, is number 14, because now number 14 is repeated 3 times. So number 14 is our mode. And then our median is the number that is in between. And so our numbers in between are number 7 and 14. So when you don't really have an odd number of samples, then what you will have to do for the median number is you have to average these two numbers. So 10.5 would be our median number. And so now if you want to put these in order, it would be our mode, that is the largest value, and then after that it's our median, and then after that it's our mean. And as I discussed earlier, the reason that the mean in this type of distribution is the smallest number is that we have some outliers, which is the number 2, which will make the mean very small. So that's why that it will push the mean towards this side. While with the positively skewed distribution, we had some outliers that were large that would push the mean to the right side. So in that case, our mean would have been the largest number. Alright, now that we are done with that, let's review the relation of mean, median, and mode in every one of these distributions. So with symmetric distribution, all of them are the same and are in the middle. So mean is equal to median and is equal to mode. With positively skewed distribution, here we have the mode, here we have the mean, and then the median would be right in between, median. And then finally, for negatively skewed distribution, here the number that is repeated the most would be our mode. Our mean would be here on this side, and then the median is always in between. So one memory aid that I have for you is that the median, no matter what kind of distribution you're using, is always located in between. And that concludes our discussion.